But
I'll
like,
show you abuse.
they're the kind of microphones that you can just like toss in a milk crate with a bunch of other shit. You know what I mean?
Milk crate?
No.
SM60s. Sure, SM60s. They're really good microphones.
Dude, you guys know milkmen
Actually,
still
yes.
exist? I
Dead
just saw
milkmen?
one on this street the other day. Like a
In-
milkman. like a
Here
car.
in our town?
Yes.
The fuck?
Yeah.
That
It
must be
still-
like a
still
special
exists.
service.
That's
you
definitely
have to-
FBI, like, posing.
It's a fucking
Should be a good
fed.
cover
It's a
nowadays,
fed.
There's no way anyone has that job. He's a fucking narc. He's a spook.
Just like if you see a phone booth nowadays, I guess, it's like, I'm sus. That doesn't
Yeah,
work.
that-
They don't
that
use
doesn't
those
make
anymore.
sense.
Dude, that's just a Tartarus if you see it. It's not actually a
That's
phone
a
booth.
fucking fed. That's
Wait,
funny.
so what are we here to talk about?
28 years later.
Oh, yeah, that new zombie movie.
Oh.
It's
Yeah.
like
Except-
it's a sequel, right?
Except it's more like rabies.
Rage.
Yeah, rage
Oh,
virus.
rage
Not
virus,
zombies.
not zombies.
Not
Sorry, that's
zombies.
right.
Yes.
But it's like a realistic take on zombies.
The rage virus that makes you puke out of your eyes and mouth, blood,
and want to like aggressively attack everybody else around
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, it's pretty ass, to say the least. And this is once again part of the 28 Later series, of course. And
28 liters.
we have the returning director and writer from the first one, though, because they
Yep.
weren't in the last one. Besides,
Yep.
I think producing.
And
right?
wasn't so I remember there was a report back in like January that like Cillian Murphy was going to be in it again,
Uh-huh.
and then that got like discredited. But he's an executive producer, right?
maybe
I
don't
think
know
he
about
is.
that.
I thought I read about that.
But he, I guess they have already confirmed at this point. The director, he just, it's not. This is called Spoiled It. I mean, this is our podcast, but he just flat out spoiled like the entire trilogy, I guess, basically that they have planned for this. And I don't know if I even really want to go into it because like he did confirm Cillian Murphy. Is all I'll say.
Cillian.
Yes, Cillian Murphy.
Cillian.
But
This is
there's-
Cillian.
He's silly.
Did you know they filmed this?
He will correct you.
They filmed 28 years later and a sequel back to back.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, I read
So
about
the
that.
next one's coming out in January.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Less than a year.
It did
Not
feel
even.
awkwardly
No,
like
Yeah.
The
6
first
months.
part.
yeah, it
Roughly.
felt like awkwardly a first part that I wasn't
Mm.
prepared for it to be a first part. I was hoping for it to be like an all around one off, but it flipped a coin at the end and was like, hey, this
Set
is
up.
part one.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Interesting.
oh, okay.
In kind of a crazy way. And so yeah, well, like as I mentioned, this is Spoiled It, and we're gonna actually try something different with this podcast for once. Once we have video for once, and also we're gonna go into the spoilers actually towards the end of the podcast. So we're gonna give like a normal spoiler-free review for the first good portion
Which
of
is
this.
why I'm here because I haven't seen it yet.
Yes. So he was curious.
I've seen the other two films. I haven't seen this one yet.
He was
I'm
curious
gonna
as to
spoil
how
it
it
for you.
was.
I want to know
so-
what your spoiler-free reviews are.
But
Then
I
once the spoilers start, I'm out of here.
Yes, exactly. You're gonna leave for the spoiler section, as I'm sure a lot of other people will.
I need you to hold him down. He's got to hear it.
But I'm
Strap him on.
I am the host Leon, with my co-host Silas,
Yo.
and then returning guests Marty and Dan.
Yo.
Hey,
But we also just came out with a new episode of Chillin' and Grillin', which you can watch now on Grill TV.
The pilot episode,
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
matter of fact.
yeah.
And just like that, it's on film, or not on film like Tarantino, like not on 35 millimeter, but we're
Yeah, we're
finally
not
on
that cool.
video.
Yeah.
No one yet. No one has
Can't
an
get
actual
for
real
that
projector yet.
now.
It's coming.
That
It's
would be
coming.
so much money.
We're gonna get it eventually, or an IMAX camera, maybe. I don't know.
To get it processed. It
Having
just,
a film camera would be so cool.
We'll become friends of Christopher Nolan and have him borrow. We'll borrow his IMAX camera.
We can borrow from Tarantino. How good are your feet?
Give me a few feet shots. I'll let you borrow it. You want to film a movie? But yeah. So here we actually, it's like about a group of survivors on an island, basically.
So can I ask a question real quick?
Uh-huh.
Because this is just about the setting of the film. It's not necessarily a spoiler.
Okay.
So obviously, in the first two films, it takes place in the UK.
Mm.
So like the second film, 28 Weeks Later, has some American characters. Jeremy Renner's one of them.
Yep.
But they're like soldiers working for like essentially like NATO
Mhm.
because like they've like quarantined it. Because I've always thought that was one of the most fascinating things about the series is that like they do successfully quarantine it.
It's kind of
So
like
isn't it-
Dying Light
For
or
a little bit.
something.
Yeah, isn't it like only Europe and like most of Europe that's like quarantined right now?
Mhm.
Yes.
As of 28 years later, but like the
Yes.
rest of the world is essentially like just going
Yes.
about its normal
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
They-
day to day life.
Yeah.
They actually do talk a little bit about that
Okay.
too, during the movie.
And
too.
that's kind of
Cool.
a spoiler too, but that once again the director
I thought
just
that was in the
came out-
trailer.
No, he came out and just like said that
Right.
basically. And yeah,
Mhm.
maybe there was hints of it in the trailer too, but
I feel like that's only a spoiler if you haven't seen the first two films though.
true.
And
That's
in
on
that,
you,
and
though.
in that case, it's like, well, this is a direct sequel,
Yeah.
so it's
So
like,
why it's not
Yeah.
you're not
It's
getting
your
anything
fault. You're
spoiled.
Yeah,
with that.
like
Oh dear.
But we actually have
first one's like 25 years old at this point.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a classic though. But we have Aaron Taylor Johnson
Mhm.
from of Craven fame.
Shut up. Don't know.
How
Stop
dare
it.
you? How dare you disrespect
Kick-ass,
this man?
Bullet Train.
Oh yeah,
Come
no, he was
on.
okay. Yeah, he's kick ass to me.
Yeah.
I love that movie. But we have him in this, and surprisingly, I think with the trailers, they try to make it seem like Aaron Taylor Johnson is gonna be the star of this movie, and as you can tell with a lot of other movies he's been in recently, he usually is the star of the movie. But he's actually basically only in the first 30, 40 minutes of this,
Really?
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
I'd say
Maybe-
30
That's
minutes.
interesting.
30
And
minutes roughly, yeah.
yeah, and he just
I-
dips
How
out.
long
He
is the
just
film?
dips out of the
I'd
movie.
say he's been in it a little bit longer, maybe.
He does return in the end for like one quick scene, basically.
How long
I'd
is
say
the
like
film?
maybe.
Hour and 55 or something.
Oh
wasn't it?
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like he's in it
R-rated.
maybe a little longer than
So in
Rated
that.
R,
total,
hour
less than half
55.
the movie though.
Yeah,
Yes.
just about.
Yeah.
He is like a driving plot for
He is.
like
Because
the
you gotta
main
remember, like,
character.
too, in
The main character
very
of the
beginning
film
wasn't
actually.
him in there.
The main
Mhm.
character of the film is actually like it jumps. Like you don't like I didn't know who would have been the main character of this
Yeah.
film until they
They
kind
kind-
of
Yeah,
showed
no,
me.
totally,
You know.
totally. But I really liked Aaron Taylor Johnson in this, and I think, like Dan said, him being in Kick-Ass, he's a good actor, but recently he's just, besides Bullet Train, I think had, well, he was in Nosferatu too, but he's
And
had.
he was really good in that.
Yeah, he's had some string of kind of hit or miss movies, I would say. And
To be fair, not his fault. Like I said, I feel like he would have been
Yeah.
actually a decent Craven if he had a good movie to actually be Craven in.
he was not bad in that movie.
Yeah, I don't think he was the problem.
He's
with
the
that
least
movie, for
offensive
sure.
He
It's
wasn't
just
the
a
problem,
right
yeah.
now
Yeah.
At that point, yeah.
I mean, even Jared Leto wasn't the worst thing about Morbius,
Which
which
is insane
pains
to say.
me to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have the returning director and writer here, Danny Boyle and Alex Garland, and I think they did a really good job with world building and the characters in
Absolutely.
this movie, because I think this is the most I've cared about any of the characters in the 28 Later series.
Yeah.
I think they were the most like developed.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, and not that they were bad in the other ones. I just think they paid more attention to that here. They gave that more attention.
It was more about
here,
the tension and
character
everything.
and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Especially
for
in
sure.
the first film, the tension was really like the centerpiece.
I think the second movie actually had more attention than the first one. believe
No,
it or
I
not.
agree.
Yeah.
I found
Yeah.
that this third one, this is the third one, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I didn't feel like a horror to me. It felt more like a hopeful film. To weirdly
It
enough.
was.
Interesting.
That's what one of my notes I actually wrote was I
There-
said it has this weird mix of like being very somber
Mhm.
and it's the apocalypse, but it's also weirdly hopeful.
Yeah.
too.
It's basically showing that the world's not ending.
Yes.
I think it's kind of proving it's not like the end of the world. It's a changing.
Changing.
World.
Especially
Yeah.
the camp. Like I feel like you just kind of wanted to chill there. Actually, like,
Yeah. Which,
like-
people are chill. Like,
which,
I want
to
be
be
on this
fair,
island.
like, as far as doomsday theorists are
Mhm.
concerned, that's pretty much how an apocalypse would go. Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
most of the time, it's not going to actually destroy humanity.
Right.
I mean,
Like,
how many things
Well-
have we survived and still keep kicking?
exactly. So like, it's just, but it's
No,
gonna
true.
it's gonna make things different.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, even like people will survive, but
You're
then
just
the
gonna
world
adapt.
that you're in afterwards is gonna be irrevocably changed,
Mhm.
Oh, exactly.
and you're gonna have to adapt to those changes.
Something I really wish, and I feel like they did a good job with this too, is they kind of pulled the approach of like sitting with a space for a little bit.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I really like that where
Like
we kind
really, I think that helped with the world building. like,
Yes,
as I
It lets
said,
you
absolutely.
linger on stuff
Mhm.
instead of
Right.
just passing by.
yeah.
That's cool.
But was there any weaknesses you guys would say this kind of had? Like, I guess to kind of get that out of the way, because I think there's going to be more praise than
There,
weakness for this. But
Can I just say real quick? This is the first time that I've been a guest of this show, and it hasn't been a film that we're absolutely dunking on.
Yeah.
like to be like honestly, I think the first time I was a guest
yeah,
was
you've
for
always been for
it was
the
for like it
shitty
was
Marvel
what was it?
ones.
It was like the Star Wars ripoff. What was it?
Rebel Moon.
Rebel Moon.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
I
were
was
on that
it.
with us.
I was. Yeah.
Part 2?
I was. And
Part 2.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I hadn't seen
my
it, but you
God.
guys like gave me the rundown, and
Oh,
then
no.
other than that, the
Well, don't
only
start
two,
dunking on it
Dan.
now.
only two
Let's not
episodes I've
s-
been on besides that is Madam Web and
That could be a whole
Craven,
rant itself.
which are like the two worst movies to come out in the past
Wow.
couple years. But anyway, so I'm glad to be on one where it seems
Even
like
though you haven't
praise-
seen it yet.
Yeah, it's
you're
like I
I'm
haven't
just glad
actually
to be
seen
on
it.
one where I'm hearing good things. And
Well,
I don't have to
I-
brag
you
on
joke's
know-
on you.
this.
We're about to shit on it.
but now we're about to hear the weaknesses.
I did like it a lot, but there were weaknesses. I think
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
of the
Which
visuals
is healthy. Criticize the things you love.
I think there were some of the visuals that were very, very stunning, but very weak in some other ways. That I was like,
Now, do you think
I
that-
don't think that translated as well, or, but then there's
Was it
others.
because of, like,
Do you
the
think that's
editing
do you think that's a
or-
cinematography issue or is it an issue of the iPhone?
or the editing or
I,
something?
I think it's editing.
Editing.
That's what
I think it's
thought, yeah.
editing. I think it's VFX department, which is honestly, it could have just been deadlines or like, it's. I'm not blaming anybody
probably with the
specifically.
back to back, and then this next one coming out in
Right.
January too. They probably like have to move resources. All right, we got to work on this next one that's coming out in 6 months. Like,
And I think the other thing is too is they play in this reality where there's a lot of like realistic things like life like plant life and trees and overgrowth and buildings and stuff like that, but then and bridges and water and rocks, but
Yo.
then they play in other realities where they have like billions of deer running, and it's like, oh my god, like you can't like actually
the CGI looked
the CGI
terrible
was
for
kind of
that.
bad
Yeah,
for
it was
that,
really
and it's
bad.
like it doesn't mix well with the cinematography that they're pulling.
Well, it's because
I
it's
thought you were gonna
they were
talk-
trying to go for I think like a Last of Us moment there.
Yeah, I
with, like,
felt
the
that
giraffe
too.
or the deer.
Yeah.
But
Which, by
then-
the way, I think the CGI in that scene also looked kind of bad.
no, I
Yeah.
mean in the game.
Oh, in the game.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were talking about the show.
No, in the game.
Okay.
But that's one of the things I was gonna say is, when you're doing a movie, and like you
Some
just
things
said,
don't
even about
translate
yeah,
well.
it doesn't translate
Right.
well. Where you're like, this was great in a video game, and this was actually really beautiful in the video game, and then here you're like, this is supposed to be
Can I-
beautiful, but they're just ripping this off, and the CGI. is
Real quick
terrible.
aside, the fact you brought up video game stuff not translating well to film
Mhm.
is actually funny because I'm pretty hyped about the new Resident Evil announcement, Requiem,
Yo,
Mhm.
and I was thinking about how every Resident Evil adaptation has been pretty shit. Like anytime they've ever tried to do a live action Resident Evil anything, it's usually bad. Like the first film they ever did, the one with Mila Jovovich,
yeah.
was all right, but like it didn't use any familiar characters.
Oh
It
yeah,
was-
that was
it was
like a separate thing.
kind of
wasn't it?
over the top, like it was its own thing.
Yeah.
And then the subsequent films just went batshit. Like it became like fan fiction real fast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then like the live action show sucked,
Yeah.
and the new live action movie was just like very basic. It was like a
Yeah.
5 out of 10, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I was thinking about how Resident Evil does not really lend itself to being adapted live action. If you
Mhm.
were gonna do it, it's gonna be really, really hard
Yo,
to actually do it right.
no, true.
And I feel like scenes like that is exactly what you're talking about, where it's like the concept of it on paper
Yo,
sounds cool. It sounds
Yes.
good.
Right.
But then like actually putting it on screen and making it
so it's not the
impactful and
writers.
believable.
It's not the writers'
I
problem.
think-
no.
I
'Cause if
also-
it was
it's
a
really
vi-
anybody's
if it was
problem.
in a video
but-
game, it would have been great.
Hold on, can I just?
but-
I want to interject to say that the VFX is also not that bad either. Like the
Mm.
VFX didn't look
It's
great,
just
but
standout.
but okay, it stands out because of the way that they filmed this movie. You know, where everything else is practical.
yeah.
These things are not.
What did you think about the practical effects?
Amazing,
Right?
fantastic.
Which is what
Every
that
shot was
series built itself on.
perfect. But then they have these shots where it's like they're running there's like the sky is very like they got the aurora borealis and it looks a little goofy.
Localized entirely within your kitchen.
Yeah, the visuals maybe
May I
look a
see it?
little off
No.
because of how practical everything else is. You know what I mean?
No, what was one of my points off? I'd say there was a lot of zombie dong in this.
Zombie dong?
Yeah.
Oh, you're
dong
gonna see a
or
lot
Were
of
the
fucking
rage
schlong.
were the rage virus victims just hanging dong?
Hanging
Yes.
massive dong.
Yes.
dude. Like
And Dan,
you
We
got
fucking Game of
we
Thrones
get
all over
we
again.
get we get the lower camera angles too. We get the down low camera angles. We get the grung.
You're under the bed.
Yes.
Like the shadow on your face.
Dude, there's a specific zombie or
Willem Dafoe,
rage
the-
virus.
Alpha.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Samson, the guy called.
But he's looking
Dude,
up.
dude, that zombie had a freaking hammer between
Yeah,
his
he
legs.
did.
That thing was gigantic.
It was bad.
No
dude.
matter
It's
how
a
much
point
you
off.
try, no
It's
matter
Pride
how
Month.
much as a man you wanted to look away, you were forced to look at that
Like,
zombie
whoa.
dong eventually. So
Good for you.
He's running. You're running too, so you're getting the whole thing going back and forth right on you.
yup.
Okay, so on the
Floppy
one hand,
wiener, floppy wiener.
on the one hand, I understand that they're like.
It's
So,
like
I
their
mean, obviously
clothes
I
are
haven't
their clothes are probably like
Right,
disintegrating.
obviously
because
I
they've
haven't
been
sense
outside.
why.
Yeah.
Obviously,
no,
I
it
haven't
makes
seen the film,
sense.
so I don't know
No.
the whole context.
I'm
but
not
I know,
ripping on
it's
it. I just like
I know from the
I'm not
trailers-
either. It's not an actual valid.
No, no
Yeah.
one's ripping on it. It's just more funny.
it's just
It is.
funny.
Yeah.
It's
So
just
if-
something
if
that
you don't want
can't.
Like I
to see
said.
schlong, I don't recommend the movie.
You can't watch that movie and not laugh at that every time
Like I
it
said,
happens.
I'm not entirely like to.
Granted,
to
we
give
have the
them
mindset
merit,
of children.
If,
Yeah.
I don't know the whole context of the film, but I know that like one of the points is that they're like the rage virus victims have like started evolving essentially. Right?
Yes.
Yes.
Because they've existed for so long now.
Yeah.
So like I get that, but like probably haven't evolved to the point where modesty is a concern. So if they've just been these like rabid like super violent people for years and years and years.
They wouldn't revert back being to civilized.
Right, they're not going to suddenly start dressing anymore. Like they don't care about that anymore.
I
So
mean,
it's
look,
like
how many years did it take humans to start wearing
a
clothing?
long time.
What, the amount of times Romans talked about Germans and Celts basically not wearing much at
Just
all?
running at them naked. Yeah, like
Just full on
thousands of years.
schlonging it, full schlong.
Just hanging dong, dude. Like
No, I-
Straight Pooh Bear.
I
in
made
it.
the joke
It's
to my girl.
primal.
I made the joke to my girlfriend. I was like, maybe this was originally going to be on HBO, and that's why they had like a lot of like just hanging fruit in there. You know?
as if that's just HBO's thing now after Game of
It
Thrones.
is.
It's
They are
like-
the
I mean, have
Schlong
you seen
channel.
Have you seen Euphoria?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm in the minority who thought the first season of that was actually all right, but then
Yeah.
the second season's just softcore porn.
Yeah.
Like literally, like the first season just has sex scenes that are pretty
Yes.
graphic, but it's like Game of Thrones or like other shows like that where it's like
But this,
It's
I mean, that's
there.
very on brand for HBO, though.
Right,
Remember
you're-
when the days when they used to have TNA?
but there's just like there's a difference between just like nudity for the sake of nudity and nudity that just happens to be nudity. And I feel like in this case it feels like the second one,
yes,
where it's like it makes sense,
it makes sense, but you're
Right.
like, God damn.
but you're just
I'm
like, wow, that's a
staring
lot
at
of dick.
I'm staring at a lot of
Like,
dick.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's a lot of
What did you guys think about like the other infected in here? How they had like bloaters and alpha.
Oh, they had special infected
yeah,
essentially.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
sort of.
Nice.
They're not like full on.
28 years later game
It's
one.
not Left 4 Dead, but it's a good in between of like.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
hunters, no jockeys.
No.
No.
It's
Yeah,
just
it's
better
a-
goo.
I
You
mean,
can see it type of thing growing, type of thing. You
It-
got. I don't want to spoil it. I don't know how much is spoiled.
No, we can go. I think this is okay to go into.
If
like,
it's not, I think if it's not plot relevant,
Yes, yeah.
then I don't really care about it too
I-
much.
I think
Personally,
that
that's how I
there
feel. I don't know how
was-
about you guys feel, but
No, I think there we can go into. I think the spoilers is to a degree where I don't think people want to hear about character deaths.
do you want to hear about classifications of the rage virus?
it's just like in universe classifications.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
You are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
that sounds cool.
Okay. So
Just sounds like lore
they
to
have
me.
like
The
I mean
bloater or
the
something,
bloater
right?
which
It's
is
a-
like kind of the first one we see.
Yeah,
It's a
the-
big fat
a
thing
hu-
that
very-
falls on the ground.
It's like their
water-filled,
legs. Their
but-
legs don't work anymore.
Right.
Almost. Yeah.
It likes to eat worms alive.
They
They're gross.
You
I
get
hate
some
that
And,
nasty
did,
fucking
did they
shot.
do it all practical?
Yup.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome! So it's like this thing like crawling around eating fucking worms.
slurping
It's, like,
them up.
super like disgusting.
But it
Yo,
also
hell yeah.
weirdly like it travels with a family weirdly enough. So like there's like multiple like there might be like the bloater dad, but then there's like the bloater mom.
So,
and
like,
the,
it sounds like as though like the rage virus
Bloater
victims have
kids.
like experienced like divergent evolution.
yes,
Yes.
pretty much.
That's awesome. That's pretty cool.
One
I like
of
that.
the most terrifying ones that is in universe that almost basically becomes like I guess the main, not like the main, like
The main obstacle.
A big obstacle in the film is the
like a point of
alpha.
conflict.
Yes.
Yeah.
A point of
And this
conflict
is the
is
smart
the alpha.
one, right?
Yes.
Alphas
Yeah.
are smarter, stronger type of
Bigger.
Right, they set traps
they're like
and shit.
tanks from not Left 4 Dead, but from Dead Island. They
Yup.
remind me.
Okay.
You know.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
it's not so much traps making type smart. It's more of they're commanding, like kind of telling. the
Oh,
other
they can
ones
like
to do.
direct other infected
Yeah,
like on what
right.
to do,
And-
so they can like set ambushes
And
and,
they-
stuff.
And they're way more persistent.
They
than the
Yeah.
other ones.
love ripping off people's heads by the necks.
Hell yeah, dude.
Absolutely
Predator
fucking.
style.
So it doesn't sound like they're trying to make
Yeah,
you
they
feel
do.
sympathy for
Yeah.
these things at all.
No.
They're just monsters.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No.
They're just super dangerous. Got it.
But then there is some other infected we're actually going to be going into that would be kind of, I think, a spoiler, like later on in the film.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think we should talk about that yet.
I don't even know
You
what you're
I'm
talking about.
Okay, yeah. So I'll bring it up later then.
Yeah, well, I was about to say I wanted to bring up something else too about the Alphas
Yo.
that does spoil a bit of the story at least.
But they're cool. All the
Yeah.
special kind of infected, I guess you would call them, that they do here are really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so overall, I really, really loved this movie. It's interesting because we always try to we don't really give our scores here, but we always like to look at what other people are giving it as a score, like the consensus websites like Metacritic and IMDb.
It's
and
like I
kinda
said to you,
average
like
it.
when I saw when it came out that it debuted at like a 95%
Yeah.
on Rotten Tomatoes, that was good. And of course, Rotten Tomatoes, all that means is that 95% of the reviews were positive.
Mhm.
It doesn't say anything
Rotten
about
Tomatoes,
the actual
yeah,
score.
it's a little more tricky.
Which
where-
you can find out what the average score, and I think the average score for this was like 7.2 out of 10,
That's
which
what
is still
it is. It's a 7.3 out of 10
Which
when
is
you
still
average
good.
all of Metacritic, Rotten Tomatoes, and IMDb,
that's
which
a
I did
really
earlier.
good average score.
That's pretty good.
That means it's a good film.
But what we do here is, would you go above
Do-do.
a 7.3, or would you give this below a 7.3, or do you think that's like basically that's fair?
No
That's
comment.
pretty much the rating. What do you guys think?
I would say that's fair. It felt like a good movie. I
Mhm.
liked it a lot. I loved the world. I wish it was a standoff, like
Yeah.
like a standalone.
like it had like a solid ending instead of
Mhm.
a cliffhanger.
Instead of a cliffhanger ending sort. It doesn't
God,
really
I feel about Across
cliffhanger.
the
Yeah,
Spider-Verse.
it just I think that these movies too often enough these days try to set up like franchises,
yeah.
and I just don't want to sit through a franchise.
It doesn't have a definitive ending. It's like a half of a movie, basically.
Yeah.
And kind of, it feels like sometimes. Like I think, like you mentioned with Spider-Verse that came out recently. I love that movie, but it feels like half of a movie.
which
Right.
it pretty much
Right.
It
like
is.
is. Yeah.
But now it's like we're gonna have to wait like 4 years.
That
until the
being
next
said,
one or whatever, which
I
is
would see
ridiculous,
another
but
one.
The next one
I
you
would
wanna
see another. Yeah,
one of these.
another one
Yeah.
of those films.
What
I-
about you, Silas?
I think it's a fair score.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I did really like it, but I will
Go a
Say
little
it's-
lower.
I will say the thing that drags it or really got for some reason really took me out of it, especially for the next one, was the ending. That
Yeah, I
Same.
heard a lot of
That
people
really-
had that
Same.
problem.
weird.
It just was very out of
ending.
pocket.
It's
Maybe it's because
I honestly
it felt like a
now I'm
different
really
movie.
interested
There-
to see it.
And without spoiling really much, like I wish we had ended with the main character where he was at like the point at like where he kind of was eating the fish. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Hearing this out of context is so funny.
I don't want to. I'm trying not to spoil anything.
Leon's
but,
like, oh yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
it's
Dude,
hit
that kind of is a
There-
spoiler.
that's where I
but-
thought they were going to,
ended
cut
off,
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but they
but
didn't. They went a
they
little
just thought
farther.
that was too.
And I think that did not go to the benefit of the film.
So you think it would have been better to aim it end it a little more tamer?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Me personally, I know I've been hearing a lot of people have been having a problem with the end of this movie. I did not have a problem with it at all. And I think it's because all three of these movies so far have had like these very like just manic moments at points. Like that's what I would
Yeah.
describe that ending as. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Where it's chaotic and manic. And I'm like, okay, so I get what people meant by this ending. And it is a little almost slightly jarring too because of kind of what the characters are wearing in this scene too at the end. But
Again, out of context, that's like crazy.
It literally and again out of
do you think that's
context.
why though?
No, absolutely. I think
Yeah.
it for me the reason why I didn't like it as much, without spoiling it, is it's literally like out of nowhere it becomes like the Merry Men from Shrek, and it's like,
What the
Yeah,
fuck?
that's actually pretty accurate.
Oh, Merry Man!
and I'm like, okay, what the hell just happened? We just completely became a comedy
it went
film.
from grounded to reality to
Yeah.
suddenly feeling goofy.
Well, I think
Yes.
Wow.
that added to like I think some of the
Interesting.
things we slightly
Very
touched on
interesting.
earlier with like the editing was they kept doing this weird thing with the editing too, where there was like weird flashes of like Robin Hood and you know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about at the beginning.
it was
Mo-
like
more at the
it was more
beginning,
like
but-
historical like reenactments
Yes,
of like
that stuff too.
castles and
But then
like
there was, like, I
archery
feel
and stuff
Robin
like that.
Hood and, yeah,
What
It looked
the
like
fuck?
that.
too,
That,
or
that was
something.
that was medieval.
It was like
thing, not Robin
medieval-
Hood, but
Yeah.
it was medieval
Reenactments
type
or
of
something
stuff.
like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
The fuck?
But that was really weird with that. I did not kind of
I
like
actually-
that, but it
I
was
didn't
very
hate that,
it was
but
very quick though. So
I thought
is
it was
quick,
gonna.
so you get
I
it.
thought it was gonna lead into something else. Like I thought, like, and it kind of sort of did because the
It
village
does
like
kinda
had
set-
kind
yeah.
of done the same tactic. It was kind of showing the tactic that the village uses
I
to
am
protect itself.
confused, folks.
And then Dan saw 28 years later, right after this, because
Yeah.
But then
Oh,
it really
what the
doesn't come
what?
up ever again. Like I feel, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No, exactly. It kind of ends
I
up.
thought it would have had more bearing.
It's more at the beginning they do this stuff we're talking
They
about.
did
and
like
it
a bunch
kind
of like
pays
flashes of like
off.
Chuck E. Cheese, and then they never showed up in the movie again. I was pretty confused by that.
Ronald McDonald.
That was bizarre.
I know the reasoning why they did that and what they're referencing. It's a lot of historical actually things. but
Yes, no,
Oh, no,
I mean
I-
I thought it was cool,
It's not even
but
just like the clips. It's basically like kind of talking about.
I can
lots of
see where it
English
was
stuff,
like
so.
kind of strange.
It
It's
was
very-
strange.
It's
yeah.
a very European like symbology. is
But
what's
yes,
kind of
yes,
interesting.
exactly.
But
which I thought was very
This-
interesting.
This director he's kind of more of an auteur. So like I feel like it's kind of just one of those things where like
It's
You're
his
gonna get-
vision, so
yes,
like,
and you're gonna get the fans that go like, oh, that's just genius.
and
right
you,
It's a
there."
little
but most people are
foreshadowing,
probably
too.
Like, what?
But then yeah, I think some of
Yeah.
the people like us that look at the good and the bad. Like I just was like, this is just kind of strange, and this didn't hurt the movie, but it was kind of weird and
It-
yeah.
it's partly foreshadowing, and it's
Yes.
also it doesn't like foreshadow. It's like there's no reason to foreshadow that though. Like
Exactly.
it doesn't like
It's
have any
for-
weight or bearing. It's
it's kind
just
of
like okay, that's the
forced.
tactic that they use.
It's kind of foreshadowing.
Yeah.
It's not like it was subtle. It's shoving it right in your face with like older.
I don't.
Yeah.
footage, but-
Well, I don't think that was meant to be foreshadowing. I saw
Right,
it
no.
as basically as the. It basically parallels.
Mhm.
It's
Right.
showing the parallels on
That's
how
fair,
human has
yeah.
gone backwards,
Or-
just
or-
like
or-
old medieval days.
yeah, using
Yeah.
and
yeah.
how we've gone back.
No, but like it
Old
kind of
tactics
did
or-
foreshadow too, because
Solid.
like you saw the archers, and then later on the archers were
right.
Yeah,
in that scene.
Because it's showing the parallels.
Yeah,
between
yeah.
them. Yeah.
So like there kind of was a little bit of foreshadowing there too, but like it's more like you said the parallels.
That was
but-
something I liked a lot in the film. I will say is the use of archery and like bow and arrows
Yes.
versus
how
like.
that was the main weapons. No guns.
but they
really.
There
didn't.
were some
But
guns.
they
Remember this
didn't
that
limit
one guy-
themselves
Oh,
to
yeah,
that.
there's-
There was
yeah.
that
Like
or the certain group that I don't want to mention because it'll
yeah,
spoil it.
no
Yeah.
spoiling it, but like guns do get shown at some point,
Yeah, it's just nothing.
and
big.
but like it's like
I'm
And-
guessing. I'm guessing it's a situation where like the quarantine zone they're living in for so long has been cut off from the mainland for so long that it's like they can't feasibly use
Yeah.
guns because like ammunition is scarce.
yes, and
Yeah.
it's
Kind of
it's-
deal. So
Yeah.
they started
So
going
they
back to
just
bows and arrows
bow and arrow,
whatnot
yeah.
because they
It's-
can make those.
And
Right.
it shows the differences between
And it
yes,
shows them
the
making 'em,
locals
too.
who are like the locals are all using like arrows and more
Right.
primitive weapons, but then the ones using guns are the ones that are not from the area. They're
Right.
The, they're the
A third
people-
party.
Yeah, third parties.
Yeah.
One
They're
of my
from other countries and such.
one
like
of
that.
my favorite parts about the film, was the village like
village.
itself,
Mm.
Yeah,
like
no,
the
I said,
actual
I'd
community.
like that too. Because it made you, even those characters that were barely in the movie, it made you feel like I like these characters.
It
though,
was
this
very-
community and stuff. So if they,
Mm.
you would be sad actually a little bit, even though you don't know them well at all. If that was just
I
to
wish that
get,
was
just
the
to get
rest of the
burned
film.
down or something.
Yeah, it felt
Yeah.
realistic. A lot of the characters
Yo.
too, like even the little minor characters, like the lookout and stuff like that. You see, you're like, yeah, that's a pretty much probably I could see some.
But that's kind of
thinking
the
process
that's
at
what
the
the
time moment.
first 28 days later, the first film in the series did well too. Is like that older guy
Mhm.
that they
Yeah, and his
find
daughter.
eventually. Yeah, and you're
Yeah.
like,
Brendan Gleeson.
Yep. And you're
Yep.
like, man, this guy's chill. I like this.
I sure
dude
hope
and
nothing
everything."
bad happens. to
Yeah.
him.
Wow. I wonder what.
I sure hope like a universal coincidence doesn't fucking happen.
Oh no.
The blood of a dead bird drips into his fucking eye. It's like, what?
Wow.
Oh
That's
shit.
What?
Yeah.
Like that's
Rough,
it
bro.
sucks. It's like one of those things where you're
It's
watching it.
possible though.
It's
What are the
possible,
odds?
It's
but
probable.
it's like you would be like, wow, God hates me.
Wow,
if that
yeah.
ever fucking happened to me. Like, what? I'm pretty sure of all the people to ever get
And-
infected in that initial outbreak,
and
no
without-
one got infected like
Without
that.
spoiling who or what is the situation, that sort of almost happens
In 20 years later.
in 28
Yeah.
years later.
Yeah.
They kind of
Wow,
have a
fuck
moment
me, I
like that
guess.
again.
No, they do.
Where like somebody could have gotten infected by blood, like
Right,
right
instead
through
of
their
getting
eye
actually
or
bit.
like on their
Yeah.
face, and it's
Mhm.
like, oh, dude,
It's
like
like
they just barely
You know,
stopped
that
it.
that seemed like a
Mhm.
rare thing in the first one, but it's almost like that's happened so many times since it's been 28 years. They're like, "Oh, dude, don't die like a dipshit.
Yeah, like
Don't get fucking blood
like,
in your
don't
eyes."
go-
Hold on,
don't
let
go
me
out
wipe
with an
this off
open
real quick.
wound.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
like,
cool
bandage
though.
that shit. Yeah,
Because like you said, like it seems so random or like
because they probably didn't think about it.
Yeah.
Well, also he just really got unlucky.
Yes.
Like
Oh,
in the
no, it's
first
that-
film,
that
it was
is
just
so-
a complete happenstance.
exactly. That's so unlucky.
But
to
it's probably
happen,
that
but-
thing that happens enough times in 28 years that
Yes.
people know, like,
Exactly.
don't look up. Like, don't
Exactly.
fucking look up. Like, don't do
Literally.
it. Like,
But do you guys have anything else to say
Wear
before we go
goggles.
into spoilers, or you think that pretty much wraps up your thoughts on everything
bet
before
that- yeah.
spoilers?
I think that wraps up.
Damn, I
most
really
of
wish I could
anything
join,
with
but-
spoilers.
Dan, unless
been
you want to hear
slacking.
spoilers.
no, I don't want to hear spoilers. I'm gonna see it soon.
Yeah, you gotta see it.
Get the hell
Definitely.
out.
the fuck out.
All right, well, fucking. Good luck.
But we
and
love you.
Godspeed.
We love you, but get out. Get the fuck out.
You're a hero, and you have to leave. Okay.
You have the choice.
And I guess we can cut this part out.
Yes.
So where Dan
Or maybe
shoots us in the
20.
back of
or
the head.
or we'll leave it in. However lazy we're feeling, we'll see.
It's gonna be a Fallout 1 reference where he just shoots us instead of leaving.
But yeah, so now we're gonna go in the spoiler territory. So spoiled it.
You've been
warned.
Yeah.
Get fucked if
Mm.
you give us shit in the comments for spoiling this.
It's your fault. This is-
Um,
If you are being spoiled and you're angry about this, it's why your parents don't love you.
yeah, pretty much.
You've been warned.
But what do you think the main spoilers we want to go into with this? Because the one I was talking about earlier that you guys were kind of wondering was the female infected that ended up having the child.
The pregnant zombie.
Oh,
Yes.
the pregnant
The
zombie.
yes.
Yeah, that was
Dan.
Dan.
You're
shit.
still there lingering.
Had a feeling, lingering in the darkness.
He never forgave us.
Quick run, Dan.
But I thought that was pretty crazy. Really intense scene. I was like closing my eyes and shit.
I think-
Oh, yeah.
I think-
because I thought it was gonna be worse than what it was. It's a normal baby that it birthed.
Yeah,
but I thought it was gonna be like
it subverted my
infected-
expectation
yeah.
a
I
lot.
thought it was gonna be
totally
like Dawn the
does.
Dead infected zombie
Yes.
baby.
I
Yes.
thought the complete I literally kind of Dying Light style with the fucking baby infected
Mhm,
where that's
mhm.
oh dude, I thought we were straight up gonna get some crazy new infected that was gonna basically cause a new point of conflict.
Yeah.
But that was not the case.
It-
It was actually a touching moment,
Hmm.
and B something I don't think I've ever seen in another.
It perfectly
Film
described
before.
that thing I talked about earlier of very fucked up and somber, but somehow hopeful. at
Right, the
same time.
hopeful, yeah.
It
That
does.
scene.
It was interesting because I actually do wonder if that baby's gonna be immune now, since
Oh, that's what I'm
born
thinking.
from an
That's what I'm
infected
That's
thinking.
probably
That's
the
the
cure right
direction I'm
there.
And if that's the
thinking,
case,
yeah.
that's a new that kid's gotta make way and
Oh,
make more.
yeah. Yeah.
That kid's got a big destiny to be
Yep.
Oh yeah.
a future where humans don't get infected. My lord.
And I guess one of the other spoilers we can talk about is Craven was a bit of a hoe.
Oh yeah.
Bruh.
Yeah.
Stop calling him Craven.
Yeah. And
you
again,
like
I don't
him
know.
so much throughout the movie, and you still like him even after that.
Yeah,
But you're like, oh man.
I still like him after that.
Yeah.
I don't hate him.
You don't hate him. You understand it.
and I understand it in a way. It's definitely it's not one-sided. It's very like it
It's
seems like that
complicated. It's a
because
gray zone.
it's very
Well, he's a
complicated,
kid
and it
too,
seems
so
like.
who even knows what the mom.
But I think that's the
even said
thing
to
is
him
we're
at some
seeing
point
it
or something,
from
too.
his perspective.
Exactly.
If we got the full picture, there might be like because like I don't know. It's just a very different. It's a difficult situation.
He did seem like he loved the wife.
Right. I mean,
But,
he
like-
should. There should be communication.
Yes.
Obviously,
Yeah.
baseline.
But also, like
but
you said,
also,
since it's from his perspective, like you never know that with adults. It's like him and his wife could have had some sort of conversation at some point.
And
I mean,
it's-
she's losing her mind,
Right.
kind of, so
Yeah.
it's not like she would remember it. But she
And-
could have been like, "Honey, I'm losing it. Like, I want you to be happy. like find some, But the kid doesn't know that.
yes.
We get-
But we don't know this as an audience either. But I think
Yeah.
there's a chance of that because he seems like a great father and he's like a good
He does.
person and
Yes.
He
stuff.
does seem like a
He-
great
it's-
dad. Otherwise, like
and
he
even if
does.
it-
He didn't mean to hurt his
The-
kid
yeah.
like
and
that.
You see based on the mother going like where she
Mhm.
starts confusing the son for the dad like
Yeah.
when they were young. I
Mhm.
guess they were since they've been probably together forever. It does show that the dad did care about her and all this stuff
Yup.
all those years back. But like I said, I think as we found out from the mother at the end, or after the doctor's diagnosis,
Mhm.
where even she apparently knew what she was kind of wrong with her.
Yeah.
But did decide not to tell the kid.
Yeah,
Yup.
she
Which
decided.
Which makes me think the
yeah.
dad probably knew if that was the case. So
Yeah.
the mother and the dad probably didn't know that she did have cancer.
It's a
basically.
complicated
Yeah.
situation that I just don't think that again we're seeing it from the kid's perspective, and I think that's how this movie provides the viewpoint of this,
Mhm.
and that's how the audience is going to take it, and it could be very easily like this guy's a bad guy now because of. But it's like
It's gonna be up to the viewer almost,
Yeah.
but
he's a good dad overall though.
Yeah.
Like even with everything like that happened,
He
even
was nothing but supportive.
because even if
when
you
I
take
did,
Absolutely.
even if you take it even without, like I said, maybe there wasn't some sort of conversation. Maybe he really is cheating. You take it at face value. His wife is dying. And
Right.
He's still taking care of her, but she's also losing her mind.
Right.
And then also you got to take into consideration, this isn't normal life now. This is the apocalypse.
Right.
So like, you don't never know how you would react if you were in a situation like that either.
It's like what the humans used to do back in the old days. They used to
Mhm.
do something similar where people could die easily, or the moment someone was sick or something, they would basically get ready. You would kind of like move on quickly.
Mm.
and this is also a situation too where he said there are no doctors.
Yep.
Yep.
Which is kind of strange to me that out of this entire island and
Mhm.
community, we have nobody who's a medical expert that
I
can be
know.
like, oh yeah, I can tell you what's exactly wrong with you. Like that's kind of strange. Or like again, like
They
that's
just didn't
wild.
have any doctor
no
or
doctors.
anything.
That's
Fuck.
kind of bullshit, man.
But I guess that
like,
goes along their logic of if you're fucked, then
if
your
anything,
life
I
is
would have
fucked. We're
liked
not
like
gonna
a
help
quick
you.
scene where somebody or like a mention of being like the doctor on the island
Mm.
had no idea what was wrong with her. Like she just could like is going mad or something. I don't know. Like just like the doctors here don't know anything instead
Yeah.
of there's just no doctors at all.
Well, you gotta think of it too like this.
True.
Think about it. When that whole disease was kicking off, who do you think were some of the first people getting eaten?
True.
The doctors that were trying
Probably,
to take care of them.
yeah.
And to the point where probably
That's a
most of
good
those
point.
people did just
But
get eaten.
again, to the point, there's still people who are like medically trained that
Yeah,
could
but they're, like, all in-
could stand in as like doctors, but they might not have that full training.
Yeah, they probably
True.
don't really have that knowledge type of thing. and
Which
they
is
kinda
again to
just
the point
focus
of
on
like
that.
there's no doctors or the doctor here just didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, it's probably like a very
Mm.
basic where you wouldn't even really call it a doctor. It's more
Yeah.
like just someone who like looks at something.
Right.
What did
That looks infected, I guess.
Right, exactly.
so
you might be dead because we have nothing.
What did
for
you guys
that.
think of the Ralph Fiennes character, the doctor that they did end up
I
visiting?
loved him. He was
Right?
the
Mm.
best character in the entire film.
I know.
He was
Kind of
the
reminded
top
me of
tier.
like a better version of like the doctor from Far Cry 3 or something, like that insane one that just like
Oh, yeah.
takes mushrooms and shit and like
Yeah.
helps you like
Yep.
I liked he was like that but like even better to me. where
I
was like, I
got-
really like this character.
Oh
like,
yeah, character-wise, he was very like.
It's one of those
likable.
things you wouldn't really want it, but I was thinking in the back of my head, I'm like, I could just get a spin-off of this character.
The
like,
scene,
this
yeah,
would be
same,
interesting,
absolutely,
like-
absolutely. I loved the scene too, where like the alpha is like ripping him through the fucking, or trying to like rip him
when
through the
he grabs
roof.
his arm
Yeah,
goes through and he's just grabbing
grabs
him,
his
like-
back and is trying to like rip him
Yeah.
out, dude. I thought that scene was.
That was crazy.
awesome.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
I do have some questions. How the heck he survived all this time? though.
He's
the
OP.
whole his theories and stuff, like I'd love to just I'd love like a whole half of a movie where they just talk to him about like
And I
his
love-
findings.
And I love how
you know?
Craven was just scared of him too. But like,
I mean,
then
that
when
makes
you,
sense,
but then
though,
when
as a
you
kid.
meet, but then when they finally meet him, you're like, oh, when he was waving to them, he was actually just serious. He was like, oh,
Yeah, he
hey.
was just like, hey,
Yeah,
come
guys,
down.
Come over here.
Yeah, like what Craven said, but he thought like, hey, come over here, like I want to kill
Well,
you, but like he's
Also,
like,
that was a
"No, he
bad
was building-
excuse on his
I
part.
know, right?
Like
Yeah.
they were like, "Oh, he's crazy. He's
He
burning
waved
bodies."
at us.
All right. Let's say.
What?
All right, this is where I will defend his actually.
No, I get
And
it.
you
'cause
never
think
went
about-
back?
I get it too.
If you're
but
like making towers of fucking filleted people's skulls,
I guess.
What? This is like this is
Yeah.
a place
Dude,
where
Craven
you
might
will
not even-
die the
Craven-
moment you fucking.
But how
Maybe
long
Simon
has he been
didn't
doing
see
this?
Hmm?
How long has he been doing this? Like
Okay,
you're
that's a
telling me
different question, yeah.
nobody went out there and was like, "Hey man, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
Because they probably think he's killing everyone and just putting their skulls.
Send
in
a
tower.
party of people. Send like 8 people out there with like bows and arrows to take on the
Yeah,
one
like,
guy.
What the fuck is this guy
And be like,
doing?
"Hey, listen, what are you doing?" Just to make sure that you're not like insane, like you're not a threat to the
You're
town.
not gonna come to try to
I mean,
be a super villain.
get
and
it.
Yeah,
kill us at
like
some
like
point.
at least like how long has he been doing this? Like you guys tell me nobody's gone over there to like investigate and be like, actually,
I
listen,
don't know,
man.
Actually,
maybe 28 years.
Oh,
No.
dude.
But,
That was a good one.
Well,
Thanks.
But yeah, like I actually do want to know what happened to the other people that were scouts because it feels like Craven. Craven is he's
I don't
like
remember
the
his
only
name now.
scout
It's just
really.
Craven.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I blank
Isn't
on
it
his name.
Jamie?
Hmm?
Jamie, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that his name? Craven? Craven's
I
character?
don't remember. I never
I think it
caught
was
his name
Jamie, I
honestly.
think was
But,
his name.
But either way, he's like
Yep.
because you saw in the
Nice.
Jamie or like you saw like he had 2 other friends at the time.
Mhm.
I don't remember seeing any other like scouts other than like Jamie in I guess he's trying to train his son, which
Well, I
does
think
maybe
I guess it's more implied.
Don't know if
I
there's
think
just
the
him
the
left.
scene that implies it the most for me is the scene where they have all the trees removed from the
Mm.
field. Like he was like, "Oh, you'll come out here and grab stuff like grab like resources at some point," you
Yeah.
know. But like also that also raises a question too to me that if there's scouts that are going across like these bridges and things and like other stuff like that, why haven't they set up like any like
outpost or something.
outposts or like actual
Somewhere else.
sturdy like you know what I mean or like chalk lines or I guess I don't know like something to like guide them or like help them along the way like resource points.
I would say maybe it's just because it's like maybe they've tried and keep failing. But then I do see like the doctor who's been surviving by himself and constructing. these
Yeah,
guides
yeah.
out.
he's
It
out there
does
doing
make
shit
it
every
does kind
day.
of give
It's
weird
a
signals like
leap in logic.
okay, maybe you should be able
You
to
guys
make
are just
a
outposts
little
at
bit of
this
a
point.
leap in logic of like how is he able to do it, but then by
Right.
himself, but no
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
But
no,
then a
Which
whole
I guess
town
maybe
can't.
the less
Understandable.
again like I don't know.
Like I said, the doctor I
But
do
the
love his
doctor did
character.
have
He
those
just throws in
darts
so many
and
questions
shit.
in the
Maybe
Yes.
he just.
But where's he getting
I
that?
know that too. Though.
He's
Yeah,
rubbing
that's a
himself
good
in-
question.
He's rubbing himself in iodine. Where is he getting all this iodine to do that every day?
He's a doctor, man. Don't think about it.
What,
But,
is he got a freaking life supply?
so- I'm trying to think of any other spoilers because I think we're pretty much the end, right?
Jimmy, I guess you could talk about Jimmy.
yeah,
'cause
Jimmy.
We didn't really get to talk about
yes.
that.
So the character from the intro, the little kid that has the cross ends up coming back.
Yeah, he's the villain of.
Yeah.
He's like the main villain. It feels like the villain
I don't know
of
if
the
they're trying to
actual
make him a
story.
villain
I think
or,
he's
like-
the villain.
I think he's gonna be.
Companion.
A
I think he's a villain.
Yeah.
I feel like
think
he
he's gonna
would.
be
He
a villain.
feels villainy.
Because
I
that
know-
was
I
like
know what
it's
he
almost like
is.
they were doing that as his villain origin kind of
Yeah.
in a way. Yeah.
Like this is like their origin or how they kind of like met or something.
Well, I
just
guess
didn't like
people-
him honestly.
I didn't care for that scene
hate
at
him,
all.
actually.
I thought
Really?
he was originally, and we do have another thing we can spoil or talk about
Yeah.
is the unit guy, the like I don't know what the hell they like their Navy SEAL or whatever was he? I don't.
Oh,
know.
how he was from? Yeah.
What the
You mean the
fuck,
Swedish guy?
Marine? No, he wasn't. I thought he was
Jeff or something?
No,
Was
yeah,
that it?
you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
the
Swede.
Swedish
Yeah, the
guy.
Swede.
Yeah.
What was it Jeff or something was his name, or was it someone else? I'm just pulling that
Maybe
on my
Jeff?
ass.
I'm not sure his name actually. Yeah,
I don't
I just-
know.
I just
Uh,
know him as the super blonde
How he
Swedish
got,
guy.
how he
was-
got fucked by Alpha and
He
just
was good for a
his
bit.
head ripped off.
Yeah.
He was good for a bit, and then obviously you gotta have tension, and like he kind of pulled that tension card where he was like, gonna shoot them essentially, but it felt very out of nowhere.
I mean, Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, though,
him just
I'm not going to
cle-
lie,
him
if
just
I was him in that
cleabocking.
position, I probably would have started shooting
He
immediately
just
without asking
he
questions.
just started.
I am that guy.
He
I will
just
shoot
started
you
very
first.
much like
Yeah, they're
being
kind of
an idiot.
stupid when they kind of announce it to the people, like.
And like
"Step
it's
away, I'm
weird too
gonna
because
shoot
he
it."
didn't. I feel like he wasn't that way to begin with. Like I feel like
He was kind of a dick from the
he was
beginning.
kind of a dick to beginning, but like he wasn't like stupid like that. Like I feel like he was like at
No,
least
I
a
think he
little bit
kinda
more.
was.
No, he was definitely like. I mean,
But
like
that
the
was
whole
the- that was
photo.
the
They
dumbest-
started doing the
yeah.
comedy shit too, with like,
Yeah.
and I don't like that, man. That's
I was fine with that.
I
'cause
thought
they
it was
didn't-
uncalled for. Like I mean, like it's just unnecessary.
It
You
wasn't
mean the
forced
part
in
where the
the
kid was like
movie.
insulting his girl?
Yeah, his
girlfriend.
girlfriend.
I like
yeah,
that.
I didn't hate it.
I agree
but
with
it
the kid,
just
I'm not
it
gonna
just
lie.
didn't
I did
feel like it was
too.
necessary. Is all. You know
I
what
don't
I
I,
mean?
no, I do know what you mean. Though.
It was like, okay, why are we taking away? Wait, we could have like a touching moment here, or like we don't
I
need
think
comedy
it's-
in this.
I
do.
think that's because that's once
Um,
again one of those aspects where they're trying to add world building by saying, "Oh, like the rest
There's
of the
life
world
outside
is fine."
of-
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
see, the
that
rest
is
of the
probably
world's
what it is.
progressed. They have smartphones now, just
Yeah.
like we do. In
Right.
these- right
They still
now.
have the
Right.
luxuries of Botox and the
Yup.
in
Right.
surgery.
No, that
Meanwhile,
definitely
these
that
guys
makes
are in the
sense.
primitive
And clearly,
freaking-
social media.
Meanwhile, these people are
clearly
like
social
literally-
media too, showing her the picture and showing
Yeah.
them the picture and everything.
No, I
the
think
kid's like,
so-
"What
in
is
that
this?"
perspective, it does add a lot. But like at the same time, I feel like it could have maybe
Done it
no,
better, at
it,
least,
it could have
maybe?
done it better because again, it's just comedic, and I don't.
like there would have been a better. You think there might have just been a better way to introduce that element
Yes.
of the world building,
Yes.
I
essentially?
think it's maybe like it
Like, if
did
they-
feel a little less.
If they just did the
grounded, at least.
iPhone bit and not his girlfriend bit,
Mhm.
like I feel like that was like because again, like it felt comedic where like I don't think the comedy landed for me as much.
Mm.
Where like I thought the interest of like okay, this kid's never seen an iPhone before,
Mm.
and the guy's also like even like he's like, you know, in a minute it's gonna be a brick, like it's just gonna be useless.
Mm.
So like
Well, that's a good point. The kid probably should have reacted differently. Like, what the hell is that? Like, because he's probably never seen something like that before.
Yeah.
But I think his comedic timing, the young actor, I think his name's Alfie Williams.
Oh, yeah, I
that
thought the
plays
comedic
Spike,
timing
he
was
has
good.
good comedic timing,
Yeah.
I think. And maybe I agree. Like in the end, ultimately, there could have been a better way of doing the world building than a comedic scene. But I don't think that part was bad. I just think maybe it was off for you because there's not many comedic scenes. In the
that's
rest
what
of
I
this
mean.
film.
Yeah,
So,
that's really all it is.
to
is
me,
it's
it wasn't
not
a
a bad
problem,
comedic
but
scene. I laughed
to
at
a
that
lot
scene.
of people, it could be.
Like I laughed at that scene
Yeah.
genuinely. I did,
But
but
to
like
a lot of people, it could be
it felt-
off-putting. Or
it felt just
Yeah,
in
not
the whole
fit.
film it just didn't fit. you
especially
know?
when he's supposed to be like a soldier type of
Right,
character in the
you
thing.
know.
Yeah.
We literally saw him and his squad getting picked off, but they were still fighting at the end.
that scene was awesome.
That was actually sick scene,
Yeah.
especially and then once
The
they encounter
soldiers.
the alpha,
Yeah.
and like the drainage.
yeah, dude, that
This-
shit was awesome.
More
More of that, please.
Yeah, I
But
did.
More of that.
You didn't like the Jimmy action scene at the end and that whole ending though.
With the dancing.
No,
No,
Yeah.
with the acrobats.
it was
no.
unrealistic
Do you
feeling. It
think
felt
It,
really.
it was so forced.
Do you think
grounded.
kind of like we said about? Well, like I said, I was kind of didn't mind it because I felt like they have these manic moments in these films, but also I didn't mind it because kind of like you said about this seeming to take place from Spike's point of view. I almost thought that it could have been like this is kind of his mind exaggerating what
I-
these guys are doing and stuff too. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It
It could have been, but I just didn't
see
see that from it. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
just
I think it literally went full clockwork.
it just went
Orange
full
type
Clockwork
of-
Orange. Yeah, totally. Yeah, it just went silly, and,
Yeah.
and like I just again it for me the same reason with the comedy. It's like it's not like it was bad. Like the scene visually fantastic, the characters
Seems
very
like it didn't
interesting,
fit.
but
Yeah,
it just
it
doesn't
felt
fit in this
like a
film.
completely different thing.
You
Yeah.
know what I
Part of it.
mean?
It felt a little ridiculous.
It was a little ridiculous.
That's
Yeah.
yeah, no, I can understand that because, like I said, I've heard a lot of people having conflicting
Yeah.
opinions on it. But I will say I didn't love the ending.
Mm.
I just didn't dislike it. 'cause
I just
think
didn't,
a
I
lot of
didn't dislike
people
it
are
either. Yeah.
Disliking it or just
I-
at least saying it didn't fit. And I'm of the opinion of like I didn't dislike it, but I guess I can see how it kind of fits and how
Mm.
it's potentially setting up the next film
Yeah.
because of him maybe like I don't know either being brought into that faction and maybe them turning him into a piece of shit or like he just ends up realizing I have to kill these dudes, they're like evil or something.
Right.
But I'm sure you're gonna have Craven going after looking for him too
Right.
and trying to rescue him again too. So I think they could do a lot of really cool stuff with this sequel, and especially how we said we really liked these characters and like Craven and Spike or Jamie and Spike.
Mhm.
I think I really want to see more of them, and I'm glad that the next part will hopefully. I don't know. They haven't even released a synopsis yet, but they've confirmed at least Aaron Taylor Johnson is in it. But I'm sure that means the kid actor is going to be returning too.
Yeah,
with how
man.
they had that
Oh,
end
he
scene
better.
too.
I
yeah.
mean, that's the main character, basically.
Exactly.
No,
and
he's
the
dead.
and the fact that they said they filmed
They
them
just
back.
don't fucking bring him
The
back.
whole
next
movie's
one's-
Jimmy.
The next one's gonna have a different director. It's actually like Nia DaCosta. Or
No,
whatever.
dude,
But the
you get
same-
it's getting the
same
Star
writer-
Wars treatment.
No, but same writer, different director.
Wasn't it still the same Star Wars situation as well?
I don't think so. I think that just was a
That-
whole yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Different writers, not even finished scripts, starting to already film the movies. though,
Yeah,
and stuff.
let's
At
hope-
least with episode.
Let's hope
9.
it doesn't like become the meme where it's like a horse that's very well
Yeah.
done
Yeah,
and then it
turns
becomes
into a
a
disgusting,
disgusting,
terrible-
terrible horse.
But
Let's just hope it's
supposedly to
all...
go into the Cillian Murphy thing a little bit more too. He's supposedly going to be in the next film, but I guess only a cameo or just appearing more towards the
Huh.
end. And then they want to do a third one, but they didn't film that yet. Like how they filmed this one and the next one that's coming out back to
Yeah.
back. He's supposed to have a big part in the third one, I guess.
I
So it's
That's
gonna be like a
interesting.
trilogy, I guess. Basically, they're envisioning it as.
That's
or
cool.
This
Mhm.
new one's the start of a new trilogy, I should say.
I mean, to me, like I said, I still have the problem with this, especially with the Jimmy character. I feel like they're gonna be focusing on him and more too in the next movie,
Yeah.
which
If he's
does
the
make
villain,
me give
yes.
bad vibes for me. Which
Yeah.
because I don't want to, like, we already solidified this as a somber, hopeful, as we said, type of
You think they'll
movie,
stick to
this-
that sort of tone with it? With him?
No,
if it's
if it's
Jeff-
going down Jimmy's
Yeah,
route,
if
it's not going to stay somber.
Yeah,
I
I
mean
was
they
about to
might
say,
have
that's what
somber
I'm-
moments.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's gonna
If it's
continue that
Jimmy-
vibe from that. You think if they continue with that character?
yeah,
Probably.
it'll
Okay.
keep going
Probably,
down
yeah.
to stupid.
Because I don't think
freaking
they will do.
comedy
I don't
out
think
of it.
they will do that.
I mean, I think there'd be a
but-
mixture of it potentially, where they showcase like a little bit of both, but
Yeah, you see
that
whole-
will get a
Yeah.
lot less light.
that's
Yeah.
more likely. Yeah. So
I don't want to.
And that was my favorite part of the film.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
but-
I want the nice somber, but like, yes, melancholy, but still like a hopeful world.
Yeah.
Vibe. I
And
do
again,
love
this
that
is a
film.
part of the reason why I feel like it would have been better as a one-off.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or even just making it longer or something. Like
make
they
it
could've
make
just
it a
done
little
that.
longer
Yeah,
and
I-
make it a
It's
one-off.
only an
I
hour
would have
and
sat.
55,
I would have
yeah.
sat in that theater longer.
Yeah,
Honestly,
I would-
I
I
would have.
longer now.
From the way it was going, I probably would have stayed there for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah,
honestly.
same.
And honestly, if you want to do something like this, do a thing where you make a deal with like Prime or some kind of streaming service
Netflix.
and do like
Like
an actual 10
Zack Snyder.
good episodes or something,
I-
like in universe or something with like those
Mm.
goofy characters and see how it lands. You
This
know
would
what I
be
mean?
interesting
Don't,
as a series if they eventually wanted to do something like that. I think.
It could be interesting.
yeah.
I-
But
I will also say one thing apart I just didn't care for. You know, like when the song from the trailer starts
Mhm.
going off
Mhm.
during thing. I like it being there, but I think it should have been a little bit more background music-y
Yeah.
rather than just
so on the nose being
or
like the
rather
trailer
than
almost.
the blaring at you where you couldn't like hear really what was
Yeah.
going on with the rest of them and everything.
Mm.
It was a little bit too upfront, or it was more backgroundy, but it's still playing. You know, you still hear it and all that such. I think it would have been a way better scene.
Definitely.
That whole time, I was just kind of waiting for the music to
Yeah, to
stop, and
end.
like kind of end and just continue with the story
Yeah.
story part. When I was just hearing that like that.
Imagine if
Yeah.
FX did like a 28 Days Later show or
That'd
some
be sick,
shit,
or
you know what I
HBO,
mean?
like
or
I said.
HBO.
Oh, that would
you
be-
know what I
that would be
mean?
fun.
Like if
It'd be
they
cool.
went the route of that and made this a standalone story, like it would
Mm.
have gotten the hype back into 28 Days Later
Oh yeah.
and 28 Weeks, and people would have like started watching those films again.
Yeah, it could have been like The Last of Us. For
This would have
It's
fit
there,
in
there-
and
there
been
was-
like a perfect trilogy to
Yo.
round off the three, like it would have been three major films, and then they could have done like a spin-off series that like maybe starts Jimmy's story if they wanted to really tell Jimmy's story.
Mm.
I just again I did not care for his character as
Well,
much.
speaking of that,
as-
we can literally, since it's Sunday as of this recording, we can look up the box office for this movie.
Oh sweet.
So let's see how much it made and
Oh,
whether
boy.
this was a hit or not.
Should be pretty good. I've been hearing like a lot of
It-
different reviews from it.
Got second place. How to Train Your Dragon still won, 37
Mm.
million first place, and it was second at 30 million.
Guess
Oh
that-
wow.
that makes
So I
sense.
don't know how big the budget was, but that does not sound like it was a box office success domestically, at least.
I think in
Worldwide, it's made 60 million so far.
But I'd say
Okay.
internationally, it should be doing pretty good. I've been hearing a lot of like the reviewers from like Britain and stuff like that.
I mean,
They
it was
seem to
filmed on
love
an
this movie.
iPhone, so the budget's actually probably not too big. But let's see. But yeah, I mean, I think if these movies don't work in theaters, they could definitely make this a series at some point.
I mean, I'd watch it.
Right?
Yeah. No, I again, like I said, I think that might have been the better choice. I mean, again, I'm
Yeah,
you know,
it
I'm
had
just
a
kind
budget
of throwing ideas out there
Just
just
had a
as
budget
options.
of 75 million, so don't you usually have to make double?
Yeah,
So like
generally.
150 million
Yeah.
probably this has to make. And
Roughly,
it's
yeah.
made 60 so far, so it might just barely
It might just barely
even,
crack
yeah.
even, yeah.
Mm.
But
That sucks.
you know, I
but
mean,
they've already filmed the next one, so we're getting the next one at least.
Right,
But
yeah.
I mean, that would really
And I
suck
bet the
balls
budget
to
for
get
that would
2
probably-
out of 3 if this next one ends on a really big cliffhanger. But interesting.
you get another one 28 years later after that.
Mhm.
I mean, the first one had a budget of 8 million. The second one was 15 million. I don't think this needed a 70 million budget.
No.
Um,
It didn't feel
was
like
good.
a seven.
Great movie,
it
though.
did not feel like that that
but yeah, it
amount of
almost
money
didn't really feel like that either.
at all.
But I think that about wraps it up, right, boys?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
think
think that's
so.
it.
But thank you for joining us, everyone, and thank you for joining me, Silas, as always, and
Mhm.
thank you for joining me, Marty.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Peace, bros.
Peace.
Peace.